Welcome to this video about what really works in internet marketing. And internet marketing is such a wide topic, it means that the question what works is actually a very, very broad one. But that said, certain things have worked near enough since the dawn of the internet, whereas other things are more a flash in the pan. So working out stuff that works once for a handful of people and then nothing else is, you need to sift that out. So choosing what to focus on is one of the many critical factors for success in internet marketing. And there's a chance you won't like the first answer I'm going to give you, and that's persistence. Because the biggest problem that most would-be internet marketers have is that they just don't give things a chance to take hold before they rush off and start chasing the next pot of gold at the end of the next rainbow. Hopefully that's not you. But my advice when I'm asked, and I'm asked quite a lot, to anyone who asks me, is to pick an area of the internet marketing and then spend enough time on it to get good at it, or at least better than average. And actually, when you start delving around, better than average isn't that difficult. It's actually quite easy. So I think you should be as close as possible to being in control of your own destiny. So what that means is start with buying yourself a domain name and then hosting it somewhere. Ideally, choose a separate company for each of those options, because the default when you buy a domain name is they'll say, oh, buy our hosting, it's cheap. Honest, and cheap in this instance doesn't necessarily mean good. So don't take it as the upgrade, and if your hosting company, if your domain name company pesters you with hundreds and hundreds of upsells, choose someone else. I tend to use Namecheap. They're good. Once you've got a domain and it's hosted somewhere, just install WordPress. Usually with most hosting it's pretty much, they call it one click, it's actually several, but it's pretty close. Possibly choose a theme as well, but that's very much secondary and something you can change at a later date anyway, once you start getting real visitors rather than just you and maybe a relative. Then put some content up on the domain. I'd say at least 3 pages of content, each piece of content upwards of 400 words. That's a starter for almost any internet marketing method. You'll need to add more content later, but that's a good start. The reason for starting with a domain is the sooner you buy it, the sooner it can start to age in the eyes of Google, and they do seem to give preference to age. You could shortcut that by buying a domain that's previously been used, but you need to be quite careful that it's not been used for weird purposes by a previous owner. Otherwise you could just be blacklisted before you even buy it and be facing an uphill struggle. So pop over to a thing called the Wayback Machine, just type all that into Google, it'll come up. It's archive.org. And just take a quick look to see what your chosen domain has been used for in the past, if anything. So once you've got your domain and some content on it, you can start some real internet marketing. And what works here? Essentially, you need to give Google what they've always said they want. And they want the best possible content for whatever search term. They want to give the user the best possible experience. Okay, they've veered a bit from that now. They actually just want to sell adverts, but they still deep down would quite like to give decent content as well, otherwise they can't sell adverts. And despite what you may have heard, content is still best delivered in the form of words on a web page. I know this is a video, but it's also an article somewhere else. You can support those words with images and videos, and that does help quite a bit nowadays, but it's still the words that count for the most. And the content should be spread out. Some should be on your own site, and after that, where you spread the content, the new content is pretty much up to you. Just remember, any extra new content will ultimately be pointing back to your site, and in turn that will gradually boost the confidence that Google has to place it better up in the search results. It takes Google time to work that out, but it does work it out most of the time. And just some of the sites you could do, articles on sites like Easy Articles, then those often get syndicated, copied elsewhere legally. It's encouraged, much like videos on YouTube. Again, you can embed them elsewhere, and they do encourage that. Documents on document sharing sites like Scribd and DocStock and all the other ones. Helpful posts on forums, not just yeah me too or anything like that. Tweets, not something I'm a fan of, but they do work. Posts on your Facebook page, images pinned to your board on Pinterest, guest posts if you can get them on relevant sites, and if appropriate, links from LinkedIn and lots of other places. The trick is the more the merrier, and it could be that a few other places are worth a punt. There's a new really short 6-second attention span video service called Vine that apparently is doing well. I've not looked at it yet, but it's on my list. And the big secret no one really wants to tell you about is all this needs to be done regularly. If you do a short burst and then stop, it's highly unlikely anything will happen. So consistency really does pay off. And even at first, it almost certainly seems nothing's happening. But the internet's a bit like an iceberg, and there's a lot happening below the surface, and it takes time for that to take effect. Time and quantity. And quality as well. Obviously, don't put absolute rubbish up there, because that will work against you. And if you'd like to know more about how to do this, I've got a product called Internet Marketing in an Hour a Day, which talks you right the way through all this, and there's a link below this video that you can click to find out more. So thanks for watching.